I was speaking to somebody yesterday who was saying, look, the government are aware now that businesses need support. They're going to need, as Jack says, cold, hard cash just to get through this winter, but that they're scrambling to introduce these COVID-style schemes quick enough.
My question would be, what have the government been doing for the last 9 months? It's been clear that we were going into a very, very difficult winter. They should have been setting up systems to enable a very targeted approach being taken to support individuals, families and businesses. Social Democrats today, we had our thinking, and what we're calling for is a COVID-like support scheme, an energy crisis support scheme that will actually, as you say, put cash back into household, individuals' pockets, into businesses' pockets, similar to how it was done during COVID, because people need immediate support. Well, we're actually working through the actual details that we'll have our alternative budget in 2 weeks, but it will have to be a significant investment by the government. I mean, the other thing that they're going to have to do is expand, and we believe we're calling for them to expand the fuel allowance and actually bring into people who are on the working family payments into that as well. So that measure would cost 300 million. But we need to start looking at people who are on low incomes, but also people who are on middle incomes, because they are finding it very, very difficult. And again, businesses, that are going to need that help to get through the next few months. And government need to be doing that very quickly and not waiting any longer to actually implement it.
It's not going to be much longer than 2 weeks when we are going to have those measures unveiled. But it's not fair either or accurate to say that the government hasn't made any decisions in relation to it. Every one of us has received the ESB subsidy, and quite a lot of investment has gone into public transport.
The €200 credit?
Yes.
And given the fact that we're talking about bills going up from 2,000 to 4,000 to potentially 6,000 a year, do you think that €200 credit has made a difference to people at this point?
But the point is that something was put in place. Look,
it was a non-targeted approach that went into everybody's
immigration.
It took
he's
6
weaponised
months.
power, and that's where this is all coming from.
Fiona,
but in terms of public transport,
it took 6 months
the fact
for the government to implement
that 20% of all public transport was taking off the top line, 50% for young people, and I'm really glad that only yesterday that was rolled out to actually all private transport as well.
But that's not the issue we're talking about right now.
And we need to do much more than that. And I've no doubt it will be unveiled.
Isn't it a fair point that Jennifer made earlier, that if the government had been very serious about its climate targets, which have been missed, most of them have been missed, in fact, I think our energy usage went up by nearly 5% last year, that actually would have introduced these type of, as you said, very practical, leading by example measures a long time ago.
Well, when I saw what we believe is going to come from tomorrow's cabinet meeting, I felt, look, that's practical, it makes sense. And I agree. It is something that should have been introduced before, not just by this government, but by the previous one and the previous one before that.
Jack, are the government's hands tied a bit at the moment until we hear what comes out of the EU on Friday, particularly when it comes to the issue of this windfall tax?
Yeah, definitely. Like, we were moving at a rate of knots to a place where the idea of a windfall tax was gaining political acceptability, particularly in the Department of Finance, where there was all sorts of concerns about, disencouraging investment or potentially, ending up at the High Court on the wrong end of a judicial review if you targeted too closely to some companies. That kind of, there had been a landing zone emerging, and then the EU came out and said that they want to do a kind of toolkit approach where they would basically design different interventions that member states might go with, and that has introduced a kind of an element of uncertainty, because now we have to sit back and wait and see what comes from Europe and wait and see how we can kind of bolt that onto our own budgetary response. And obviously the two timelines may not move in tandem, because we have our own budget coming in, I think, 20 days or so. And, energy market reform, designing an effective windfall tax that won't end up getting you sued. These are complicated